Hey, good morning, guys. It's Gabe with Nerd Tech, and today I wanted to just jump into my Synthflow account here and give you guys a little advice and direction on prompting your AI agent. Now, all the problems that happen with the AI typically result in just a lack of understanding how to prompt. So, let me give you a quick example on what I mean by that. I had a client that I set inbound calls for, and this was for after hours, and it was working perfectly good until one of his calls, a lead said, "Hey, I'd like to talk with a real person." So evidently, he had determined he was talking to some sort of AI robot. Wasn't happy. He wanted to talk to a live person. So we did not set up call transfers, and we didn't put any information on the prompt on what to do if anybody asked for that. So anytime things like this happen, it actually can cause problems, and the AI leans towards lying. I know, funny, right? But it did. It lied. It said, "Okay, let me get you to one of our representatives now." And then it just went silent. And the guy was like, "Are you going to transfer me?" After a certain amount of time, some time went by and he was like confused. And the AI was like, "Yeah, is there anything else I can help you with?" And so it kind of like glitched out and kind of started saying some weird things because it didn't have an answer. And so it was trying to make it up. So it was a real simple fix. All we had to do was go into the prompt and we simply just put in a section about call transfers. And we told it that if anybody asked to transfer the call, to politely let them know that no one's available at this time, but we can take down a good time and day that would be convenient to call them back and schedule that call back. So after we put that in there, that solved that problem and it worked fantastic. So what I'm trying to get at is all the problems that happen with prompting is typically just lack of knowledge of not letting the AI know what to do. You kind of got to think of it like a little kid and you just got to tell it every single little step. And even though in our minds we think something might be obvious, if the AI doesn't have the information, it's just clueless. And so you never know what it's going to make up. So I'm going to just dive into it. This demo prompt I have here, I used it for some other purposes. That's not really important. We're going to jump right into the prompt area. I'm just going to give you kind of some tips on kind of how I get started with the prompt because it can be very daunting. Now, you can definitely look out the prompt guidelines. They're helpful. There's some templates in here. I haven't looked at that for a while. And even Copilot is Synthflow's internal. Basically, it's like Chat GPT. You chat back and forth, and it helps you build your prompt. These are great tools. I've just kind of learned to start from scratch. Whenever I use these tools, I end up having to modify it and change a lot of things. So by now, I've just got really good at starting from scratch and getting it, 98% there on the test calls. And then after going live with agents, we have to work 1% to 2% to get it even closer to that 100% accuracy. You're never really going to get all the way to 100%, but you're going to get close after doing some test calls. What I always tell my clients, if you're working with me, make sure you're listening to the calls. That's the number one thing. Listen to what's going wrong. Don't get frustrated when you hear wrong things. Report it back to me and let me know, and then we can go into your prompt and fix that pretty easily. So let's just say we're going to start from scratch. We have our custom greeting. This is the easiest part. You can put anything up there that you want. One thing to take note, if you are using webhooks and passing custom data through, you can't put custom variables in here other than the lead's first name. So just take note on that. Now I'm going to just select the entire prompt here and delete it. And what I typically do, there's no set way to create sections, but one thing that I found is if I do three hashtags, let's see here. Sometimes, occasionally, this thing lags behind, and if I click out and then refresh my screen, it speeds it up again. So let me do that real quick. All right, there we go. We're back to normal. So then I'll do three hashtags and then all caps, and I'll do roll. And then under role, we'll typically do things like agent name, objective. Let's see what else we got. And then we'll do another section. We'll call this company info. And maybe we'll do hours operation. Maybe we'll do general overview. And let's do contact info. So contact info would have like your company email or phone number and things like that. And when we do info, just take note, I would do 1 dash 8 dash 0 dash 0 dash 2 dash 3 dash 4 dash 5 dash 6 dash 7 dash 8. So that's how I would do the phone number. so that the AI says it correctly. If you do it all together, it's actually going to try to say it as one large number, whatever that would be, like a million or 100,000, whatever that is. So just take note of that. If you find that the A is not saying something right, put dashes in between it. Same thing with the email. I would do like GABE at da 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 and then dash dot com. Experiment with that and do some testing and make sure you test those different things like that to make sure you get it the way you want to. So those are just some little tidbits on getting it to say things right with phone numbers and emails. Now, let's do another section here. I like to do this section called tone, which just helps the AI. I think it makes it speak a little bit better, and I'll just copy and paste in here what I use for most of my scripts. So there's an example. The AI should adopt a friendly, casual tone that makes the conversation feel natural and approachable. So you can read through that. But different things like this kind of help it out a little bit. And you can even say, like, use the words and O throughout convo to help make more realistic sounds. You can try this too. Some people really like those filler words. I don't use this a lot. I don't find that it follows it very closely, but if you could put it up here, and you can also try, if you really want it to do that, put it like up here in the role on what you want it to do. So anytime you test the AI and you're finding it's not following directions, then it may just not be seeing it as importance because it's the end of a paragraph. And if you put it at the beginning or at different spots, it might see it better and follow that as more importance. Or you just make it a whole new section by itself so it sees that it's important. And I just wanted to raise your attention, not because this is a super important sentence, but just letting you know kind of how you test and get it to do things and how to recognize if it's not doing those things, how you can put it in different places. All right, so let's do another section here, and we're going to do objective handling. And under objective handling, you're going to put things like if the user says not interested, say something like this. You don't have to put these anytime I do the dash, I typically don't do this all in caps, by the way. I'm just keeping it all in caps because that's the way I have it set right now for the headings. But it's not important that this part's in all caps. What's important is if the user says not interested, say something like this. I like to use the word say something like this so that it knows it can vary from that depending on the situation. Makes it a little bit more dynamic. And then you could say whatever you want that response to be, just type, how you want it to handle that. But the objective handling, the point of this section is to put things outside the normal script and how you want the conversation to go, but important stuff that you want it to be able to reference. This could also house the live transfers. You might put a section or a dash that says if they ask to be live transferred, then say something like this. So similar type of thing. You put it like that. If it doesn't follow this very well and it's a very important thing, you also, again, might want to make it its own section with the three. So let's go on. That's objective handling. Another section that we might have would be booking appointments. You might have a certain way that you want it to book appointments, so you can put those instructions here. Another section that people like to use would be like if asked if you are AI, then you could put a response here and how you want it to handle that. And then the last main section that we'll go to, let's see, what am I missing here? Yeah, that covers a lot. This covers a lot of the main sections we like to use. The last main section will be the script instructions. Now, with the script instructions, you're simply just going to tell it, you might say, first, do this. Then you might say, if they say this, then go here. So you can have different sections within the script instructions. And let's say you have a section 2 and say they are interested to know more. So then you can copy this. This is starting to get a little bit advanced. And if they say this, then go here. If they say, let's say if they say yes to want to know more, go here and then paste it right there. So you can actually make subsections within the section of script instructions, and depending on what they say, tell it to go to different places. If they say, you might have another one that says, if they say not interested, then refer to the objective handling that tells you how to respond to not interested. So it's really just as simple as getting good at understanding how to give very clear instructions. And then uh, you might have another section here that is collect contact details. And then you might have first get full name, second get, so you know how that goes. So then you might have another section that says confirm call back time. Maybe you ask them what's a good time for to have an expert call them back. And then you might have a, conclude call and then instructions on how you want to conclude the call. So I'm going through this quickly. This is not like 100% exactly perfectly how I would set this up, but I really just wanted to give you the more detailed outline than I have in any of my other videos on kind of how to start creating these sections and how it should start to look. When the AI looks at this now, it's going to really be able to recognize, oh, this is a section, this is a section. It takes that as very important. The script instructions, I do them as prompts. So there's kind of two ways to do scripts. You could actually write down a script and call this script, follow this exactly, and you could put quotes and say this. If they say this, then say this exactly and put it in quotes. And it really is more accurate on if you really want it to follow down this linear path on exactly what you want them to say. I actually prefer just to give prompting so that I say, things like say something like this or say something like this, and then kind of give it some parameters on, if it goes this direction. It's a little bit more dynamic where the AI can kind of think and be more natural, in my opinion. So that's why I like it. Now, another thing you can do to make this more accurate, if you like the prompting, but really want to dial it in after the prompting down here, you could give another section and call this example script. You might say you don't need to follow exactly, use as a guide. This is a great way to really dial it in. I don't do this a lot because I can pretty much get it to do what I want just by doing the script instructions. But if you're really having trouble, first make sure that you have good script instructions, and then if you really want to, give an example script. AI does a really good job whenever you give it examples, and that can be true for even an objective handling. If the user says not interested, and then you say something like this, you might give this a sub. You might do a sub and say not interested, example looks like this, and then you might give an example. So anytime you're having problems, just think, how can I make it more clear, and how maybe I could give it an example. And then I promise you, if you do testing, this is going to solve 99% of your problems. And then what I do to solve problems too, the best way to test is when you go live and you listen to these calls and you hear something bad happen. First, you go back to the prompt, make the changes that you think is going to fix it to the best of your ability, and then do a quick call me session and test it exactly how you heard it go wrong. And do it maybe 2 or 3 times, and maybe some different variations or use some different words to make sure it captures all that correctly. And that's how you really dial in listening to live calls and solving those problems and then changing the script. So I know this went a little longer. We're at 16 minutes here, but I really wanted to give some genuine value here on how to dial in your prompting. I'm happy to do this for you guys, but I have a lot of followers that are do-it-yourselfers. So feel free to copy this, keep it in a template Word document. I know some people do that where they can copy and paste this. Another great tool, I've said this in other videos, use ChatGPT if you're building this for clients. You can build all this information right here using ChatGPT to scrape their website, and that works really, really well too. And if you don't like this prompt or it's not working, you can copy and paste this whole prompt and you can tell ChatGPT, look, this is the outline. Now make it better, make it super clear that my AI caller can follow this so that it can understand section headings and subheadings and follow it much better. And ChatGPT can actually help rewrite this and make it a lot better than the way you're able to write it too. So the important thing is get your thoughts down, get your ideas down, get the information about the business down, get a basic flow, and then use ChatGPT to enhance that. So I hope this, guys, helped you out on being able to write better prompts. I know this can be the number one killer that makes people just want to quit. But if you can figure this out, I promise you, you can make some pretty killer scripts, and it's going to work really, really well. We've had some good success with it. So hope that helped. Take care.